Today we are talking about juicing and diving a bit into why I finally purchased a juicer after over a decade. But where are my manners? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, hello, my name is Dr. Knox. I'm a doctor of nursing practice with a curiosity and passion for all things health and wellness. While you're here, take a quick second to go ahead and click that subscribe button. It really does go a long way in helping me to grow my platform here on YouTube. But let's get back to today's video. I really want to start this video off by answering the question, what is juicing? I think a lot of times we kind of breeze over the foundation of things, assuming that everyone knows, but I'm going to take it all the way back. Juicing is when we process fruits and vegetables in some way in order to extract juice from them. This can be done through grinding, squeezing, or pressing produce to get the juice from them. A lot of us are familiar with the term and the concept of fresh squeezed orange juice, but modern technology has really advanced in so many ways, and now there are thousands of appliances on the market to make this process easier and more efficient. In today's video, I'll discuss why it took me so long to buy a juicer and what convinced me to finally just do it, what juicer I purchased and why, along with some of the pros and cons that I've experienced so far, and 2 mouth-watering, inflammation-fighting, antioxidant-boosting juice recipes that are beginner-friendly and that you have to try and incorporate into your routine. So, why did it take me so long? Now, for clarification, I think it's important to note for those of you who are not very familiar with me, as I'm new here on YouTube, I am not at all new to juicing. This is more like my return to juicing. My father, a Nigerian man who completely went against the grain when it comes to cultural foods, instilled a very healthy nutritional foundation in me from infancy. He has been heavily invested in nutrition since before I was even born. I grew up in a household of 10 people. Yes, that is right. I have 7 siblings. And in that household, dairy and processed sugary foods were not allowed. I grew up in a household where a juicer was a normal and frequently used appliance in our kitchen. You know, thinking on that, one thing that I have to give my dad props for is not letting the weight of providing for a family of 10 deter him from prioritizing our health and wellness via nutrition. We definitely ate healthy in our household and did so in very simple and clean ways. So I grew up on fresh homemade juices and smoothies, and I never really thought anything of it. That was my norm. As I became an adult and moved out many years ago, I kept my foundation of healthy eating, but being a rebel, being exposed to so many new different flavors and all types of cuisines, I did start to eat more processed foods and incorporate more unhealthy foods into my diet. I definitely didn't continue to eat the way that I was accustomed to. I very quickly bought a blender because my love for smoothies is I could eat a smoothie or drink a smoothie every single day and it would not bother me. I am a smoothie girl. But for years, I went back and forth about buying a juicer. For one, I'm more of a minimalist. I don't like a lot of clutter. I don't like a lot of things in my house. And I do not like buying things if I am not thoroughly convinced that I'm really going to use it consistently and put it to good use. So I'm not someone that typically buys things on a whim. 2, I always found myself saying, why do I need a juicer when I can take those same ingredients and put them into a blender and enjoy the full nutritional benefits that they have to offer? And by using my blender, it creates less waste. I am not fond of the pulp, the excess that the juicers create. And I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me to have to waste that. So I never purchased a juicer until now. But although I hadn't purchased my own juicer, I did find myself occasionally buying juices at this local grocery store called Mother's Market here, and I enjoyed them every time that I had them. These juices, these fresh pressed juices that they sell, typically ranged in price from $5 a bottle to about $7.99 per bottle. This is their watermelon juice. This is how it's bottled. It's a 16-ounce bottle. On the label, it says that it's priced at $7.99. However, they had these on sale for $5, so I grabbed 2 of them. I remember recently purchasing that watermelon juice and looking at some of the other juice combinations that they have. And I just remember thinking to myself, man, I know I could create some bomb flavor profiles. That was the initial spark. And that spark happened several times. So it's not like it had a spark this one time and I was like, oh, I need to go run and buy a juicer. I've had that spark happen over the course of several years, probably closer to like 2 to 3 years. I also have an amazing 5-year-old son, and I am invested in his overall nutrition and health and wellness. Typically for him, I had been making him smoothies. I think they're a great way to get a lot of diverse ingredients into a child's diet and appetite and to start acclimating their taste buds to certain things. And if I'm being honest, I know there's controversy around this, but hear me out. It is a way to sneak some fruits and vegetables into their diet. But sometimes he's cool with the smoothies and sometimes he's just not really in the mood. And I understand different strokes for different folks. So even as adults, some people prefer smoothies, some people prefer juices. It really is a matter of what your preferences are. So I'm always thinking of different approaches to create and foster healthy eating habits in him. Just a quick sidebar. So I've been making my son these amazing oatmeal muffins that have no flour, no processed sugar, no fat, and they're gluten-free. I've been making these since he was about 1 or 2 years old, and he still loves them to this date. I actually created a YouTube video on this already, and it has over 2,000 views, so feel free to check that out. I love it so much. I actually just made a batch last week in preparation for him going back to school. I love that you can customize them each and every time with many different flavor profiles, so be sure to check that out. I'll link it below in the description box. I remember sitting and thinking to myself one day, I wonder if he would prefer the consistency, the texture of fresh homemade juices rather than smoothies. So that was the second spark that came about. And it was a really big motivator for me that I think was at least worth a try. Then I had my mom in town. She was one of my guests that came to visit me this summer, and I thought it'd be a cool activity for us to create some juices together, similar to like what we did when we were growing up. Unfortunately, my dad did pass away about 2 years ago, and so I felt like it was a great way to kind of remember him, honor him, and do something that was rooted in our foundation. One thing to date that we are all still so grateful for is that he took the time to not waver in his discipline and his commitment to healthy eating, because it really did create a beautiful foundation for us to build upon. So I pulled the plug and I bought a juicer. So let's get into the juicer that I ended up purchasing. Now, as I mentioned, there are so many juicers on the market. It can actually be a bit overwhelming to try to sort through all of them and figure out what's the best fit for you. But I think it's important to know what you're looking for in general to help you narrow it down. Understanding what your personal filters are will make the process a little bit easier. For me, I was looking for 3 main things in whatever juicer I bought. Number 1, it needed to be affordable, because they can range in price from $40 all the way up to over $2,000. That is a big range of price, and I wanted something more on the affordable side since I was a beginner, and I really wanted to see, am I really going to use this thing? 2, I wanted my juicer to be compact. I don't have a huge kitchen. It's a decent size, but like I said before, I am more of a minimalist. I don't like having a ton of clutter. I don't like having my countertops filled with appliances, so I wanted something compact enough that I could still tuck away into a cupboard or a pantry. And 3, I wanted wanted something that would be beginner friendly and get the job done. I don't want to have to deal with 10,000 pieces. I wanted it to be easy to put together and use. And so those were my requirements. I wanted to know that I would actually use my juicer consistently, that I would enjoy the process of juicing, that I wouldn't mind what the cleanup looks like afterwards. And I really was curious to see how much produce I needed to create like a 32-ounce mason jar of fresh juice. So I scoured the internet and read a ton of reviews, and I ended up purchasing the Magic Bullet Mini Juicer. And no, this is not a sponsored product or video. I am giving you my real and honest feedback. I liked this one because, number one, I could get off of Amazon. I like efficiency. I like not having to go out and be bombarded with having to look through aisles and aisles of appliances. So this product on Amazon had 4.5 stars out of over 2,500 reviews. So that was a good selling point for me. It comes in silver and black. Silver is cheaper for some reason, so I went with that. With taxes, the total purchase price came to $55, but I do see it go on sale from time to time for about $10 off. Now that I've been using it, and using it consistently, might I add, here are some of the pros and cons that I've experienced. I'll also share if I recommend you purchasing this product. Let's start with the cons. The first one isn't specific to this appliance, but to juicing in general, and that is what I mentioned earlier. I don't like having this pulp that comes out of the juicer go to waste. This can actually reduce the fiber content of the ingredients and of the juice that you create. I just have to be honest, I don't like it. So chime in and help me out. What do you guys who are juicers typically do with the pulp? I think I've heard of people composting, which is not something that I do, but something I am interested in. So if that's something that you do, definitely leave me some comment and some direction and guidance in the comments below. I will say I do like the pulp that comes from carrots, but it is because it's very nostalgic for me. I remember being a child and my dad making carrot juice. And I would sit there and eat the pulp that came out of the back. And I still do that to this day. As soon as I tasted it, it just kind of flooded my mind with beautiful memories. And I still really like the taste of it. I also used the carrot pulp. I told you guys that I made some muffins last week. I used some of that carrot pulp in my oatmeal muffin mixture, and it paired so well with it. I had a little bit left over, and like I said, I like the flavor, I like the texture of it. I make something called breakfast quinoa, and I added that to my breakfast quinoa, and it was a hit. It tastes like a play on carrot cake, but using quinoa and soy milk. I'll have to create a video showing you guys how I make my breakfast quinoa and how I incorporated that carrot pulp into it. I'll try to do that this weekend. I will also say that when I juiced watermelon, the watermelon with the rind, I keep the rind on when I juice it because it has nutritional benefits. That also did not even create a lot of pulp at all, which I'm not surprised by, given that watermelon carries such a high water content. Celery, on the other hand, left a lot of pulp. So I would love to hear from you guys in the comments on what you do with your leftover pulp, other than throwing it away. The next con is appliance specific, and I'm not sure what I did my first time using it, but I created this little abrasion on one of the rims. It somehow, when I was assembling it, did end up rubbing against the blades and creating some friction. I'm not sure what I did, but it hasn't happened since my first time using it, so it might have been user error, but just something worth noting because now it's there and it's not going anywhere. The next con is that this appliance can get a little bit messy, not overwhelmingly so, but enough for me to want to report it back to you guys. So I would just recommend whenever you're using this, using it in an area that is easy to wipe down. One time I was making carrot juice and I had it next to a cabinet, and I think my microwave was there, and I had some other things scattered on the countertop, and some specks of the carrot juice kind of went there. And I was like, uh-oh, once again, maybe I did something wrong in assembly, or maybe I was moving too quickly. It could have been a user error again, but something worth noting when you're trying it out your first time. I didn't notice it as much when I was juicing on a separate counter, so who knows? But I'm letting you guys know my experience. And the fourth and final con that I've experienced so far is I noticed after juicing carrots for the first time, as I was cleaning my appliance, I noticed that the carrots left an orange stain on the plastic parts of the juicer. Now, this is not a deal breaker for me. It's an aesthetic thing. So if that's something that you typically look at, by all means, I think it's important to note. But for me, the product still works. It still gets the juice out. So a little bit of staining doesn't really sway me one way or another, especially because it was only $55. Now moving on to the pros. I love that this product doesn't have a ton of pieces and that it's very easy to put together and take apart. Because of this ease, it makes it very easy to clean and wash and store it. So that I'm a big fan of. The second pro is that I like that it is actually compact and it does not take up a lot of space. So I'm easily able to store it in my kitchen cabinet and pull it out when I need to use it and put it back in with ease. The third thing that I really like is, honestly, it gets the job done. It creates beautiful juices. I will say, someone asked me if there was any texture to the juice that it creates. There is a little bit of texture, nothing for me that is unbearable or like too much of a texture thing. I do know that some of the higher end juicers create more of like a water-like consistency and there's no texture to it. So if texture is something that you have difficulties with, this one does not come out like water. There is a little bit of remnants of, I guess I would say pulp. There's a little bit of texture, but overall it is very smooth. And it's not something that I would think would deter anyone from getting it, but you know yourself better than I do. So for all of these reasons, yes, I would definitely recommend this product if you are looking for an affordable and a beginner-friendly juicer to purchase and incorporate juicing into your routine. I'll link the exact one that I got off of Amazon down in the description box, just so you can take a look at it, look at some of the reviews, and some people even have videos of them using it, so you can decide for yourself if it's a good fit. Now, my favorite part. Let's juice. Now, these two juices I'm making today are specifically tailored to fighting inflammation and giving you a good antioxidant boost. I don't typically juice based off of flavor alone. I'm okay with juicing something that's bitter, something that's a little bit more strong and bitter in taste, if the benefit of it is there. I care more about the benefits of the ingredients than I do the flavor profile, but flavor is definitely something that I take into consideration, and it is something that is not lacking in either of these. These are powerhouse juices for you to consume and very easy to make. So let's jump right in. Before we do, I think it is important to note a lot of people will juice fruits alone. I personally think that it's very important to also incorporate juicing veggies into your concoctions, into your mixes. So get some beautiful greens like kale and spinach, Swiss chard, dandelion greens. Go for carrots, beets, celery, and yes, even zucchini. I love to get creative and add things like mint, cilantro, and parsley. I will even do things like ginger, turmeric, and yes, even garlic. These do really go a long way, not only to increase the flavor profile, but to increase the nutritional benefits of what you're consuming. This really is a time that I think people miss out on to get creative and play in the kitchen. If it doesn't taste great, as long as it's still something that you can tolerate, drink it and try another batch. I love experimenting in the kitchen. I get that from my dad for sure. He puts together some very interesting things. So I wouldn't say I'm to that level, but I definitely like to get creative and do things a little bit outside of the norm. So for our first juice, let's focus on boosting our health with ingredients known to fight inflammation. These juices honestly both turned out amazing. My son actually enjoyed it. As you saw in the video, he actually wanted to get involved in making the juices. So that made my mama heart so proud and just kind of gave me this warm, tingly feeling. So if you've been on the fence about juicing, about purchasing a juicer, this video, I hope it provides some more insight to help you to make your decision on whether it's right for you. But I am curious to know how many of you are juicers out there, and I want to know what type of juicers you have that you recommend, but equally I want to know if you've ever tried a juicer that you did not recommend. Leave that down below in the comments so we can avoid them. Feel free to share more about your journey with juicing if you have one. And leave me some recipes down in the comments below. I want to try out some new things. So if you're someone that likes to get outside the box a little bit like me, I want to see some recipes. I'd love for you to share them with me. I really do love hearing from you guys, and I do make a conscious effort to respond to everyone that leaves a comment. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, take a quick second for me and just subscribe to my channel. It really does go a long way to help me grow my platform here. Also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up and give this video a like. If you found any value in this video, if you know of anyone else that would find some value, feel free to share this video with them as well. Thank you in advance for supporting this video and my channel in general. Until the next video.